of Korea.
This is Voice of Korea.
Voice of Korea.
This is Voice of Korea.
Now we begin the English language transmission from Pyongyang, the capital of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
We're President Carlos, son of General Kim Il-sung. chorus, 성업 janitor 김승일.
Respected Kim Jong-un, First Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea, First Chairman of the National Defense Commission of the DPRK, and Supreme Commander of the Korean People's Army, together with service persons of the Army, watched the men's football game between the Man Gyeongbong team and the Sobetsu team. Watching the game together with him were Hwang Byung-soo and other senior officials of the party and armed forces organs. Watching the game, Kim Jong-un praised the footballers of the People's Army for fully displaying the might of the ideological campaign, fighting spirit campaign, speed campaign, and technical campaigns. Footballers of the two teams lodged positive offensives to take initiative from the beginning, but the first half ended without score. In the second half, footballers of the Sobetsu team got 3 goals for a 2 or 3 men press and 11-meter penalty kick. The Sobetsu team defeated the rival 2-0. After the game was over, Kim Jong-un congratulated the footballers for their success in the game, warmly waving back to the enthusiastically cheering footballers and spectators. Noting that sports technique, tactical system, and training methods of our own style should be perfected to raise the football technique onto a higher level, he presented the important task which would serve as a guideline in radically developing the sports of the country. Respected Supreme Commander Kim Jong-un expressed the belief that the sportspersons and coaches would further impulsed by training to fully display the honor of the motherland all over with wonderful successes in games. Respected Kim Jong-un, First Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea, First Chairman of the National Defense Commission of the DPRK, and Supreme Commander of the Korean People's Army, watched the games of archers of the Korean People's Army Defense Sports Team and the Amnokgang Defense Sports Team. The games were also watched by Hwang Byung-soo and other senior officials of the party and armed forces organs. The games were divided into men's and women's team events. Whenever the arrows correctly hit the bullseyes, Kim Jong-un praised the archers. The archers of the Korean People's Army Defense Sports Team, who had participated in the recent archery games for World Cup, showed their high archery techniques. the Korean People's Army Defense Sports Team won in the games. Praising the archers of the Korean People's Army Defense Sports Team for their good archery, Kim Jong-un said that the spirit of the archers is important, like in other sports events, so as to hold World Championship in the archery. And he noted that they should train harder and harder with a burning enthusiasm to fly the blue and red flag of the Republic in the sky of the world. He stressed the need to complete the archery techniques of Korean style and scientific training methods and ensure good training conditions. Respected Supreme Commander Kim Jong-un expressed the belief that the archers, coaches, and leading officials of the Korean People's Army Defense Sports Team and the Amnofan Defense Sports Team would further develop archery and register excellent successes in international games. The website of the Nigerian National Committee for the Study of Kim Il-sungism, Kim Jong-ilism, recently blocked news of revolutionary activities of respect to Kim Jong-un. The website posted the news that Supreme Commander Kim Jong-un guided a multiple rocket launching drill of women's sub-units under Unit 8.1 of the Korean People's Army and the shelling drill of a long-range artillery sub-unit tasked to hit major targets of the enemy in the South Army. It also carried the news that an enlarged meeting of the Central Military Commission of the Workers' Party of Korea was held under the guidance of Kim Jong-un, and the news of which visits the new workers' dormitory of the Pyongyang Kim Jong-suk textile mill. Exhibition of works of the great leader President Kim Il-sung and the lecture under the title Birth of Kim Il-sung took place in Brazil and Guinea on the 5th and the 7th. Hung at the venues of the events were photographs showing the immortal revolutionary exploits of the great Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. Also displayed there were Volume 2 of the Anti-Japanese Revolution, Part 1 of President Kim Il-sung's reminiscences with the century, photos of Kim Il-sung and others. Respected Kim Jong-un sent a kind birthday spread to centenarian Yoon Suk-cheon in Sungwon District, Cheongju City on the 15th. He was born in Minyang City, South Gyeongsang Province, during the Japanese imperialist military occupation of Korea. After the Fatherland Liberation War, he worked as an official of a branch of the General Association of Korean Residents in Japan, formed by the great leader President Kim Il-sung for a long time, rallying the Japan resident Koreans behind the General Association and making positive efforts for the prosperity of the homeland. Participants in the 9th National Meeting of Artists made ball baskets and bouquets before the bronze statues of the great Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il on Mansu Hill and paid tribute to them on the 15th. The participants in the 9th National Meeting of Artists visited Mangyongdae, the birthplace of President Kim Il-sung. They laid wreaths and bouquets before the tombs of Kim Bo-hyun and Lee Boy and the tombs of Kim Hyung-sik and Kang Ban-sok and observed a moment's silence in their memory. They also visited the Revolutionary Martyrs Cemetery on Mount Daesung and laid bouquets before the bronze bust of the anti-Japanese heroine Kim Jong-suk and paid tribute to her. They laid the wreaths and bouquets at the wreath-laying stand of the cemetery and observed a moment's silence in memory of the Revolutionary Martyrs. The participants also visited the National Gifts Exhibition House and the Victorious Fatherland Liberation War Museum. The 14th May 21st Architectural Festival closed. During the festival, the participants exchanged successes and experiences achieved in solving the issues arising in the wonderful construction of monumental edifices and in promoting the architecture, science, and technology of the country. The closing ceremony took place at the Central Youth Hall in Pyongyang on the 15th. Present there were officials concerned, officials in the fields of construction and fine arts, architects, technicians, teachers, researchers, creators, and students. Results of the jury of the festival were announced, and commendations and prizes were awarded to the excellent organizations and participants. In Korea, the Physical Training Center was remodeled and started its service. The center is in Cheongju Street of Pyongyang. It is equipped with tens of kinds of apparatuses for physical training and bodybuilding. The center enables sportspersons and fans to do their physical training and bodybuilding on a scientific basis. DPRK wrestlers returned home on the 15th after participating in the 2014 Asian Junior Wrestling Championship held in Thailand. They bagged 5 gold medals and 1 bronze medal in the championship. They were greeted by officials concerned and families at the Pyongyang railway station. Mansour Taboshi, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Islamic Republic of Iran to the DPRK, and his embassy staff members visited the power of the Tutsi idea on the occasion of the Korea-Iran Friendship Week, marking the 25th anniversary of the meeting of the great leader President Kim Il-sung with His Excellency Sayyid Ali Khamenei, leader of the Islamic Revolution of Iran. They also visited the Mary Shooting Gallery on the 15th. They had shooting and archery games with Korean officials. They also visited the Victoria's Fatherland Liberation War Museum and the Pyongyang Metro. A spokeswoman of the Central Committee of the Democratic Women's Union of Korea gave a statement to the media on the 15th. The statement said, South Korean women actively turn out in the anti-government struggle, chanting, "Revive our children, Park Geun-hye is murderer, and Park Geun-hye resign," and carrying even friends with grudge and grief over the death of their children in the recent hideous ferry sinking. The bereaved families are wailing bitterly over the disaster, and the cure of mourning is endless. Nevertheless, Park Geun-hye has neither shed a drop of tears nor met the families of the victims who had come to the Blue House, but brutally suppressed them. When the whole of South Korea was reduced to house the funeral, she invited the chieftain of aggression, Obama, and carried the saber with him. The traitorous act is as good as a disgusting adultery at the house of mourning wrapped in sorrow. It is needless to say that such a serpent in skirt as Park Geun-hye cannot understand the human feelings, psychology, and joy and anger, as well as the sentiments of women. We women in the DPRK delisted Park Geun-hye as a woman long ago, and declared that she is not entitled to live under the same sky. The South Korean women should turn out in a more dynamic struggle to sweep away the Park Geun-hye group, the worst murderers, for the sake of their families, future of their children, and genuine life and dignity. The entire women in the DPRK once again express deep sympathy with the grief-stricken South Korean women and extend active support and solidarity to them in their just struggle, the statement stressed. 1,000 civic and public figures of South Korea held a press conference at the Seoul railway station on the 12th and released a declaration against the authorities' wishes for privatization, according to the South Korean internet newspaper Minbo. The declaration said through the ferry Seoul disaster, the society clearly sees what kind of catastrophe was brought about by the destruction of the public sector's relaxing restrictions for profit. It stressed that they will further expand the struggle against the privatization pursued by the government through 1 million people signature-seeking campaign and others. They say the solidarity for democracy, people's life, peaceful reunification and sovereignty of South Korea made public a special statement and demanded the government correctly probe into the truth behind the ferry Seoul disaster and punish those responsible for it. On the other hand, the South Korean internet newspaper Voice of People posted an editorial on the 14th as regards the expansion of the student struggle in demand of the government's apology and responsibility for the ferry sinking in South Korea. The bereaved families of the victims of the ferry Seoul disaster in South Korea on May the 11th urged the authorities to take measures to prevent further collapse of the interior of the ferry, according to the South Korean KBS. They said the collapse of the interior of the sunk ferry causes difficulties in the finding of those missing, and urged the authorities to take prompt measures for finding those who are reported still missing under the sea. The South Korean internet newspaper Minbo posted an article on the 13th denouncing the authorities for their movements to close the Minbo, which has endeavored to inform the readers of the truth about the DPRK. The press statement of the spokesman for the Panmunjom mission of the Korean People's Army, the United States should no longer patronize blindly the wreckage of the colonial servant for confrontation with fellow countrymen, was reported abroad on the 12th and the 13th. It was reported under different titles, including DPRK denounces the United States for patronizing South Korea concerning the terror incident by the China News Service, the Chinese Xinhua News Agency, Hong Kong Finnish Satellite Television and website People's Network, the Myanmar News Agency, and Malaysian newspaper Utusan Malaysia, the US UPI, VOA, and CNN, the British Reuters and newspaper Guardian, and the Japanese Kyodo News. The statement was made public by the Britain-Korea Friendship Association and the joint statement by the Swiss-Korean Committee and the Swiss Group for the Study of the Treaty Idea. The statement denounced Department A for having asked the U.S. President to put up again the transfer of the right to command wartime operations during his visit to South Korea some time ago. The Swiss-Korean Committee and the Swiss Group for the Study of the Treaty Idea recently issued a statement denouncing the United States for its crimes against human rights. The statement said, during the Korean War, the U.S. imperialist aggressors killed innocent Korean people most cruelly and reduced many cities of Korea to debris through their barbaric bombing. Today, too, they are hindering Korea's reunification in every way, while persisting in their ceaseless nuclear war moves against the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The immoral crimes committed by the U.S. imperialists against the Korean nation ought to be referred to international trial and severely punished, the statement stressed. And that's the end of the news, read by Cha Jung-nam, State's Voice of Korea. The Daily Rodong-Sinmun carried a commentary on Friday under the title, No Future to the Negators of History of Crimes. The commentary said, during his recent visit to Europe, the Japanese chief executive told reporters asking about historical issues that Japan would not apologize following in the footsteps of Germany. It is too brazen-faced and shameless for a statement of the chief executive of the country which imposed tremendous disasters on humanity in the last century and wrote an inerasable page of crimes in history. The authorities of Germany, on behalf of the state, expressed deep apology and reflection to the victims of the Second World War for their past crimes on many occasions and faced measures for compensation to the war damaged countries and individuals. But the Japanese reactionaries have not clearly apologized for their past crimes nor dream of compensation. On the contrary, they doggedly negate the past crimes and try to justify their history of crimes. It is a manifestation of their malicious plot to realize their ambition for combat through accelerated militarization and division to the right. The offspring of the samurais are watching for a chance to turn out with a saber of reinvasion at any time. There is no future to the wrongdoers who shamelessly swim against the truth of history and justice. That was the commentary under the title, No Future to the Negators of History of Crimes, carried in the Daily Rodong-Sinmun on Friday. This is Voice of Korea.
Please enjoy your meal. Harvard's husband Kim Il-sung is with General Kim Seung-il. the CD Symphony, song dedicated to the party. Renowned the song will go on and on along the road of loyalty created in 1961 or 1972. enjoy your band music, we pledge.
Act of arrogant and shameless slanderer. In a recent 2013 report on terror, the U.S. Department of State groundlessly slandered other countries, saying this country is a terror sponsor and that country is unbelievable in the anti-terror activities. It is an impudent act of the slanderer gifted with extreme arrogance and shamelessness. There are big and small countries in the world, but there is no country which has a special right to interfere in and exhort other countries, and the United States is not an exception. The United States is the protagonist of terrorism, which has persisted in aggression and interference, high-handedness and arbitrariness everywhere it goes. So it lost its qualification and justification to talk about terrorism long ago. In the new century, it triggered off the Afghan and Iraqi wars under the pretext of anti-terrorism and persisted in frantic terrorism. The United States, however, instead of reflecting on its crimes, is looking for a pretext of interference and aggression against other countries, still talking about so-called terrorism. Many countries totally reject and denounce the 2013 report on terror made public by the United States, insisting that Chinese cooperation with them is very small in anti-terrorism. The United States has recently slandered that credibility and clear proof are lacking in the Chinese regulations on the character of some terror incidents at home. Concerning it, the spokesman for the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs refuted that double standards applied to other countries is not helpful to the international cooperation in anti-terrorism. In the report on terror, the United States groundlessly slandered Cuba as a terror-sponsor state, while admitting that there is no information that Cuba had supplied weapons to terror organizations and trained armed agents. In its statement, the Cuban Ministry of Foreign Affairs said it is preposterous that the United States declared Cuba a terror-sponsor state and criticized that it is bogus to justify its past tens of years' economic sanctions against Cuba. The spokesman for the Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the recent report of the U.S. Department of State distorts reality and is based on double-standard policy, and maintained that slandering Iran as a terror-sponsor state is of political character and it distorted reality. And he refuted that the peaceful inhabitants in the region fell victims to many attacks of the U.S. drones. The United States is conniving at the dynasty crimes of Israel against the Palestinians, and it is necessary to question the speeches of the United States, which is said to be fighting against terrorism. All facts clearly show that the criminal nature of the United States engaged in aggression and killing, high-handedness and arbitrariness, and interference in others' internal affairs has already been disclosed in history, and movers of the United States, which seeks world domination under the pretext of human rights and terror, cannot work any longer. If the United States continues to slander others without knowing where it stands, it will only disclose its defects more nakedly and evoke further indignation of the international community. You've been listening to an account under the title, Impudent Acts of Arrogant and Shameless Slanderer. This is Voice of Korea. Dear listeners, with this, we conclude the English language service of Voice of Korea from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Voice of Korea presents its English language service for Southeast Asia between 5 and 6 hours UTC from 13,650 kHz and 15,105 kHz, and between 10 and 11 hours UTC on 11,735 kHz and 13,650 kHz. For Middle East and Northern Africa between 16 and 17 hours UTC on 9,890 kHz and 11,645 kHz, and between 19 and 20 hours UTC on 9,875 kHz and 11,635 kHz. For Southern Africa between 19 and 20 hours UTC on 7,210 kHz and 11,910 kHz. And for Central and South Americas between 4 and 5 hours UTC on 11,735 kHz, 13,760 kHz, and 15,180 kHz. And between 10 and 11 hours UTC on 11,710 kHz and 15,180 kHz. Goodbye, this is Pyongyang.